If you were walking down the street and you look like a smoker, I look you dead in the eyes and I say, you want to see the lowest price glass pipes you ever seen in your fucking life? Like with the little attitude like that.
Right.
And then people like stop in their tracks and be like, yeah, sure, why not?
That's
and
what
I just
say.
I had a little computer bag.
That's dope.
You know, I finally go to the court and they tell me you have to piss in a cup. I didn't see no judge. They want me to come back, take a piss in a cup, and they're like, okay, you can leave. So they basically almost ruined my whole thing and got me fired and kicked out my whole startup of my whole adult life to go piss in this cup for them. And when it comes down to the wire of like, am I gonna live in love or am I gonna live in fear? I would say go for love every time. And it's not always gonna be the easy path. I'm not here to tell you it's all peaches and cream. But if you go for love, you're gonna have a more fruitful life. You're gonna have a more fruitful soul.
We're here for the introduction of In and Out. It's a movement to change the world. It represents all things and all of us at all times. It's about freeing ourselves of any prison. Welcome to In and Out Podcast, where I have dope conversations with incredible people who have been freed from some form of prison. I am Eric Gerald, and today I'm talking with my guest, Shooz, as he takes us through his incredible journey of beating the longest odds and achieving great success. What's happening, Shooz? How you doing?
How's everything?
Everything's beautiful.
Good to see you.
I appreciate you. Good to see you too. I appreciate you stopping by, coming to share your story with us, give some inspiring words of encouragement, take us along, your path, your journey, let people know what you got going on. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to introduce yourself, just kind of tell people where you're at, some of the things that you're doing, and then we could just, start kicking it, getting into a good conversation.
Absolutely. Shooz, the methodical rebel, aka Siclogic. Where to start? I'm big into music. I'm a musical artist, producer, studio owner, which is Siclogic Records, which is kind of a deep meaning, which I'm bringing to the world as well. And it's also my author handle as well. I also write. My first book is coming out under Siclogic. So, very passionate about the music, about helping others, about, being a source of positivity in the world. And, I was really blessed to come out here and have the invite from the boy GP.
No doubt.
And I'm just excited, man, to be with y'all and chop it up.
That's what's up. Well, we're excited to have you. And I guess with that, the first thing that comes to mind is what exactly is Siclogic? How did you come up with that? What does it mean? Tell me a little something about
Absolutely. So it's spiritually intuitive, conscious logic.
Spiritually intuitive, conscious logic.
And you can see the full definition on siclogic.com. There's no K in the word. There's no killing involved. It's Siclogic.
Okay.
Right? The simple way to put it is it's the balance between science and spirituality.
Dope.
It's really about holism. A lot of for instance, my book talks a lot about holism and holistic experience. So I take experience from everyone. I learn from everyone. I learn from all people, and this is something that is readily available for anybody who wants to learn from their life situation, from stories. You can learn from a book. You can learn from a movie. You can learn from music. You can learn from you, from myself, from yourself. You go internal and learn. You go external and learn. So it's kind of the balance between science and spirituality. And basically what that means is some people are really all about the science, but maybe not paying attention to the spiritual aspect of life and existence. And some are really all about that spiritual, but sometimes might get lost in the scientific, logical aspects of this physical, so-called 3D world we're in. So it's kind of the balance of both. It's having both extremes, having that broad experience of both extremes, but balancing in the middle. So that's kind of like a running thing with a lot of things I have is holism, both extremes, but with the balance in the middle.
That's dope. I think I'm cut from a similar cloth. I like it, the way you put it, spirituality and many things that is, that it encompasses. That sounds dope. Is that something that you has been a part of you your whole life, or where would you say that comes from? How long have you been kind of developing that type of thing?
So that's cool that you ask. So I came up with Siclogic, the concept, in, I want to say about 2000, 2001. So when I came
Okay,
up with that name, and there's a whole story about that, but there's multiple meanings. Again, you can look up the whole thing. I'm just giving like kind of
Right.
like a brief description, but it goes back to then. And I remember I actually went and I did a copyright. I went back then. I was like, the first thing I did was send in a copyright for Siclogic. Of course, now I got the trademark and I've learned a lot.
Dope.
You know, come a long way. But in 2000, I think in 2000 or 2001, I think I still have the original copyright for when
Dope.
I copyright Siclogic. And yeah, it goes into the world of music. It's heavy. I didn't bring any of the gear, but actually, I should. I'm gonna give all y'all some tea so you
No
can
doubt.
rock that too.
I'd love to have it. It kind of slipped my mind when I was talking at first. I love the concept that you say, and that's why I said I'm cut from a similar cloth, that you can learn from anyone, everywhere. We could always learn from each other, and that's what we all aim to do.
1000%.
So that's pretty dope. You can learn from the man that you, or the woman that you at least expect to learn from.
Sure.
You know, you never, like, you could be walking over the bum in the street. You never know what that person could teach you.
Absolutely.
Some of us want to ignore people that we think might not have the, you know, the material gains or the accomplishments that we have, but everyone got a story to tell. Everybody got something that they could teach you.
That's a fact.
So you said in 2001, that's when you started, around that time. Were you already in Cali?
No, 2001. Wait, about. No, that's when I got the copyright. So 2001. Actually, yeah. Maybe I'm getting the dates mixed up. Maybe
But
it was
around that
2000
area before you left home?
I left home. I was 19. So about 2001 is about when I. Maybe the copyright's 2000. Maybe that's, you know, maybe it's 99, 2000 that I put. It's in that
All right.
vicinity. But about 2001 is when I came to Cali. Yeah.
Okay. And where'd you come from?
Originally from Oregon,
Okay.
northwest of Oregon, the rainy northwest. Not everybody knows. A lot of people don't know about it, but Portland. You know, a lot of people know Portland, but I was west side of Portland, in a small rural town, and I went to kind of in school in Hillsboro, Oregon.
Okay.
So kind of a smaller town. I've lived in everything from rural area to suburban area to the hood to the beach. I've pretty much had a little taste of it all. So
No. Is your family still there?
most of my family is still there in Oregon. Yeah.
You go back often?
I'm gonna keep it a buck for you. So honestly, I
Always,
haven't.
everything?
You know, I haven't gone back often. I do love Oregon. I love aspects of Oregon. I never wanted to live there per se. I always wanted to kind of move to Cali as soon as I had the opportunity at 19.
okay.
So to get the facts straight, 19. I think in 2001, I can do the math, is when I left for Cali. And forgive me, I kind of never looked back.
Okay.
I've been back, I think, once.
Wow.
To be honest with you, but I've been very busy and I've been very just like eyes on the prize, and so, you know, I do want to travel more, and you know, I've done a little bit here and there, but it's a story. But I've got good roots in Oregon. There's good people
Right.
there. I haven't been rushing back there.
Okay. I mean, that's what's up. Hey, listen, everybody got a story and they got a reason. There's reasons behind it. It is intriguing because I know, you know, it's kind of far, but not that far. I've never been to Oregon.
Okay.
And I just recently went to to Washington for my first time, and I loved it. And
Yeah.
I do want to go to Oregon. I know a lot of people
Similar.
from Cali, you know, go back and forth to Oregon. I used to be involved in the flower game, so of course I know
Yes,
that.
sir.
You
Yeah.
know, a lot
Yeah,
of
we
flower
go
comes
back,
out of
you know,
Oregon.
been smoking trees since I was 14, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
definitely, they love the herb there. You know, a lot of people even forget that Oregon's on the West Coast, so it is
Right.
part of the coast. It is a cooler vibe there. I mean, there is a difference between like the urban, the city, Oregon, and the rural. There is a little bit of divide there, or different energies there. But it is kind of similar to Washington in weather and in atmosphere a little bit. But it's funny because sometimes people just remember the O and they're like, "Aren't you from Oklahoma or Ohio?" Sometimes people are like, "Where is Oregon?"
Right.
Or I'll be like, "Do you know where it is? It's that state right above us.
Right.
That one
Right.
right there."
Right.
Yup.
So what type of how did you grow up? What type of background did you have growing up? I mean, you know, were you well to do? Were you poor? Did you
Yeah.
go
So
up and down?
I was okay. So
Did you grow up with both your parents?
good question. Both great questions. I'm gonna tie them both in. So basically, I kind of grew up, I would say bottom of the barrel. I kind of like very low end start.
Okay.
Okay, where I grew up. I'm the first house I can remember that I lived in was kind of like this rundown house. I think me and my mom and my dad were, I don't know if they're buying. I really don't know the story, renting. I'm assuming they're renting because they're pretty much coming. They were young, you know.
Right.
Folks had me young.
Okay.
And I remember there was a graveyard in the back of the.
Yeah, I live
like
right next to
this
the graveyard.
I lived in a graveyard. My last name Graves. Got that from my pops. Last name Graves. And my first place that I grew up in there was a graveyard in the back. And I remember I wasn't allowed to go back there. You know, I have very, very vague memories, but it was kind of like a broken down, like a fixer-upper. It was like and so we kind of like started off very low income, you know, with both parents. So my life, like I was explaining to your folks, is kind of like a blessing and a curse, you know, back to the extremes.
Okay.
I've been extremely blessed in my life, and I've been extremely cursed in my life. And, you know, a lot of people can probably relate to that to some capacity.
Right.
So I feel it's been pretty extreme. You know, there's probably people with a lot more extreme stories, but I grew up with a graveyard in the back, low income. By the time I was 5, I lost my father, you know, God rest his soul. So I started out with both parents, kind of low, meager. And then when I lost my father, we had went to stay with like some family, some religious folks that have taken in, you know, really good people. They've taken in people over the years, adopted children, and they really kind of held it down for my mom, you know, like she was going through a lot.
Wow.
They went through a divorce, and then my dad passed, right? So we stayed over there for a while. So to answer your questions, I started with both. I started very, you know, low income. And then over the years, you know, then I had a stepdad by the time I was 5. And then I had a stepdad by the time I was 7. And that's also the blessing, the curse, because I had like an amazing mother, best mother in the world, just phenomenal, right? But my stepdad was the opposite, kind of like very, very negative individual. So over the years, I think the last 2 or 3 years, we actually got like a nice property, and I was like, wow, this is so cool to have like 2 stories, and we had like a cool, you know, going back there, these days it's still kind of humble, but when we got it was new, and I felt like it was a mansion, man. I felt like I was on top of the world. So little bit of both.
How old were you when you started living with your stepdad and your mom?
So I lost my dad at 5. It was a couple years, and then I had a stepdad. My mom remarried at 7.
At 7.
At 7. You know, and then so the transition was whatever. I feel like he kind of put on a face at first, and then that went kind of negative. So, you know, I have good memories of my dad. He has a whole story behind him. Stepdad, not so much. Amazing mother.
You guys, you didn't get along with your stepdad too much?
Nah, my stepdad, he kind of, you know, he has some issues. My stepdad was really into himself, you know, and he was kind of like an alcoholic, drug user, you know, very, very mentally abusive.
Wow.
And then he also was physically abusive to me and my brother. I never saw anything with my mother. I know he yelled and did like, he was crazy ass motherfucker, but he never hurt my mom to my knowledge. I never saw it. God forbid, I probably wouldn't allow it, hopefully.
Right.
But, you know, to us, he was physically abusive. So the story just over the years with him just got worse and worse and worse.
How bad did it get?
Okay, well, I mean, just a couple of sprinkles. Like, we found out he was cheating on my mom. Like, when I talk about, like, okay, he wasn't really a father. So it's hard for me to say I grew up with a father. I really didn't.
Right.
You know, I had my father till I was 5. To me, he was great. Again, there's some stories about how he had some mental things that he was dealing with, right? But I only have good memories of my father. Stepdad came in the picture. I feel like before they got married, he was putting on a face. As soon as they got married, it kind of like changed overnight. And then, you know, so he would drink a lot. He would get very angry. The only thing I think I remember him like playing catch with me like once or twice, and he would like throw the ball so hard, like he was trying to like win a game or something. Like, and I was like, I remember catching and like hurting and shit. Like, we never really did anything. His daughter would stay with us, right, every other weekend. So my stepsister, she would come over every other weekend, and we basically raised her. He didn't even pay attention to her. So he was off doing his thing. We didn't have really any kind of, he didn't really teach me anything except for how to shoot a crossbow and how to work a lot. Like he told me always to pick shit up, and like he had us working hard. But you know, he wasn't really a father to me. As far as negative aspects, the mental, the physical, like throwing me around, hitting us, throwing my brother. And so at the end, we knew he was cheating on my mom. He would leave for like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
He left for like 2 weeks. I remember later we got a story from my stepsister about how at Christmas he was doing both the Christmas with his girlfriend or whatever and my mom.
Wow.
And he took his daughter to the Christmas of the mistress or whatnot, and said like, don't tell anybody, don't tell, and then brought her right over to our Christmas.
Wow.
You know.
How old were you at this time?
At this time, so like, I mean, progressively it's getting worse and worse. At this time, I was probably like around 15, 16.
So you were very, very well aware of what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a call from a woman. Hey, I want you to know that,
wow.
I want you to tell your mom that he's been sleeping with me and blah, 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 and I feel bad and da-da-da. Later, I found a story about my sister told me. And so put it this way, my mom was the breadwinner in the family.
Okay.
There was points where he wasn't even working. He was a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
You know, he was doing his thing here and there. And my mom was starting, like, she grew. She was a hard-working mother. I learned a lot from my mom. My mom got up at like 5 a.m. She would go to work. She would drive like a damn near an hour to work in the city and go to and come. Like, she would work every day. My mom was super honest.
She's holding it down.
Like, she held it down. I remember one time she told me about a concept about like, okay, I have sick days, so I can take off 2 weeks in a month if I'm sick. And I said, Mom, why don't you just call in sick and just take a day off? Like, just call in sick. Why, you know, I'm thinking like that's what I would do. And Mom, she's like, no, I don't want to do that. That would be lying. And so, like, my mom is like real solid, honest, like one of the most honest people. You know, I feel like I get a lot of my good, some of my like honesty, respect, you know, from my mother.
Gotcha.
But then, you know, my stepdad was just the complete opposite. So at the end, he was using her. So I'll kind of wrap this up, but he was coming in the house while my mom when my mom would go to work every day, he would come over, eat all the food, drink a bunch, tweak out, do whatever the hell he's doing, going to shop, and he wasn't even working half the time, just tweaking out, doing whatever the fuck he's doing.
Right.
And then half an hour before my mom come home, he leave.
He's gone.
He leave. And he was just using my mom. So by this time I had turned 17 years old. Okay, and I peeped all the shit. And there's a lot of stuff I don't want to bring up on here.
Right, I understand.
You know, but I had peeped a lot of it. And so eventually, I'm going to kind of lead to the theme of this. You know, eventually, I had called him out on everything and said, I know you're cheating. I know you whoop-de-whoop. I know this, that, the other. I confronted him and mind you, I'm a 17-year-old kid. I'm kind of like, we've been living in fear of this man, you know, our whole life. I'm the oldest in the family, by the way. So it's me, my little bro.
How much younger is your little brother?
So my little bro, I was 17, right? He was 15. He's about 2.5 years younger than me.
Was he there backing you up when you called him out?
He wasn't there.
Okay.
He was.
Just
I don't think he.
And your stepdad?
I want to say he wasn't in the house. Just
Was
me
your
and my
mom around?
step.
Oh, just you and him.
I want to say it was just me and him. I'm calling him out like I was like, you know, you did. He was denying everything. No, I didn't. No, shit, all the shit I knew.
Right.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Again, we're living in fear of this man for years. I remember the one time he would do this shit where he like
trying to intimidate you.
Yeah, and like poke me in the chest really hard and shit. And when I was like, I think I was maybe 11 or 12, and I went like that because it felt like very like I know I have self-respect. Like I know like he did like shit really hard. I went like that, and he like threw me in the bathroom, like hit my head and on the wall and shit. So like over the years, you know, we kind of live in fear. But I was like, you know, you did this shit. I confronted him, and he said he denied. And then at the end, he said, "What are you gonna do about it?" He said, "What are you gonna do about it?" And then that's just, you know, when I kind of like flipped on him and So that led to a court case and whatnot, and that, way back in the day when I was a juvenile.
What happened with that court case?
Okay,
Wasn't there something that happened like specific with
so
the
I
law
was
or something? I remember seeing.
I was young. Yeah, I was young, and so I didn't really know what I was doing. But the man was abusive, so it probably should have been different. Should have went different. But he pressed charges. He sued me.
Wow.
Pressed charges. He sued me. I kicked him out of the house. Basically, if I was getting ready to leave the house, if I left this man in my home, my mom's kind of a pushover. He would, and my brother was little.
Right.
And again, living in fear. So essentially what I had to do is kind of get this evil entity out of our home, especially before I leave the home.
Right.
So that was the last day I ever saw him. But he sued me and pressed charges. Wow. So I went to court. They tried to try me with assault 1, which, if you know, is probably the same as if you go beat someone with a baseball bat, or you get 10 guys and go jump someone. That's assault 1.
Wow.
They tried to charge me, and then the public pretender was like, "Oh, we're gonna fight. We're gonna do this and that and the other." And then we got a plea offer for assault 3, and then so she told me, "Oh, you should just plea and just take it." And so I got up with 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service. I think 100 to 200 hours of anger management, because luckily my record was clean.
Right.
Had one other thing, but that got bypassed. So, but this is all alleged because everything's all expunged, and this could just actually all be a story.
Right.
But this is,
No doubt. So is that why you wanted to leave and go to California? Is that why you wanted to get away, or was there something about California? You mentioned earlier that you always wanted to go to
I always
California.
loved Cali, man. Cali's got it's just everything. It's sunny. It's the weather. You can't beat Cali weather.
You really can't.
Right. The women.
Yeah.
Right. I came from sports. I came from skating. I was into all team sports. I was into all the extreme sports.
Oh, you were. Okay.
I was into music. Right. So you want to be in sports, Cali. You want to skate, rollerblade, Cali.
Right.
You want to do music, Cali.
Yeah. If you love women.
The women.
Cali.
Cali. The freedom, just Oregon's very homogenized, I guess is one way to put it. I like the diversity. I thrive in diversity. It's just damn near everything. I mean, there's some great things about Oregon. I'm not disrespecting. Oregon's got beautiful trees, beautiful scenery, some very beautiful, humble, down to earth people.
Right.
There's a lot of good people over there, good souls. I'm not totally down on Oregon here. I just was kind of a Cali boy, raised in Oregon, and then as soon as I got the chance, I split for many reasons.
Right, and nobody can be mad at you for that, man. Everybody loves California.
Yeah.
For real. I mean, I'm from New York. I love New York, but I mean,
here from all over.
It's not. Yeah, I'm from all over, but and I love those other places.
Yeah.
But California is a special, special place.
Yeah, it really is.
So what was it like when you left? Do you remember the day that you was like, yo, I'm out. I'm going to Cali.
So that's kind of like a transitional, to go with the theme of this. I was kind of in a low space. I was kind of back against the wall, figuring out my life. I always wanted to live in Cali. I was kind of in a rut over there. I was in this pyramid scheme business to run your own business and stuff. It was crazy. They taught me sales and all the shit.
Was it multi-level marketing, all that type of stuff?
Multi-level marketing.
Okay.
Exactly that. And so I was on my halfway on the way to own my own business, right? And then have people working for me, and I had a whole team. I was a Dish Network campaign manager and stuff. I was selling Dish Network and shit door to door and shit.
Right.
And so I was building up with that. I was starting to do my music thing. My sports career had pretty much ended. When I got in trouble, I got kicked off the team, but that's the whole thing. So there wasn't a lot going on. I did have that kind of pursuit of that little career or whatever, and then the manager that was above me was from LA, and he was like, I'm depressed. He was depressed. It rains like a motherfucker. You've been
I was going to ask you if Oregon rains like Washington, right?
Washington's a little bit more, but it's the same damn thing. That's why they call it the rainy Northwest. It rains like a mug. It gets very depressing. You don't get a lot of sunlight.
Right.
It starts to weigh on your mental. And him being from LA, he was just like, I need to go back. And it's any of the leaders, that's what you're called, when you train people and shit, that want to come with me. So it's the first chance I got to get out of that and get to Cali, I was out.
Okay. So you came to Cali, and what happened? Was that your first business that you owned in Oregon? And then, like, was that your first taste of, like, you know, owning your own business?
Well, technically, I didn't own my own business. I was working up the pyramid to own my own business. I probably, within that year, if I would have stayed in Oregon, stayed the course, whatever, I would have probably had a location. They give you like a month of a location, and you start making money with your team and shit. I wasn't there yet. I was on my way. But then when I came to Cali, everything changed. It was a completely different division. And this is when the court's gonna tie back in. So what I had to do is, we had to completely start over.
Okay.
And forget about Dish Network. I had a little pamphlet that was like this, a 2-sided thing, like, here's your channels, you get 3 months free, sign up for Dish Network, it's better, blah, blah, blah.
All right.
And I was killing the game at that shit.
All right.
I came over there, they had a book this thick, thicker than a Bible, just ready, of office supplies.
Huh.
And instead of knocking on doors, we're going to businesses.
Okay.
And we're asking them if they want to buy office supplies. And you had to, like, for me, it's about product knowledge. Like, when you sell shit, like, knowing your shit, that's where, you know, you can thrive, because you know what the fuck you're talking about.
Right.
So I don't know nothing about office supplies. I didn't want to know about office supplies. You get to the businesses and you deal with the secretary, and they're just like, we don't want to deal with you. Everybody's kicking us out. They had us walking up and down hills in full suits, in dress shoes, in 90-degree weather, going from business to business, like sweating. I'm from Oregon, I'm like sweating.
Right.
Like, they're like, hey, do you want? They don't even want to talk to you.
Right.
I don't want to know anything about this Bible of office supplies.
Yeah, you're not interested in it.
One day I clicked up with this one homie from Washington. He was cool. He's like, you want to just go on the PCH and smoke a joint? I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like, we're just, because they don't have like people monitoring you, right? It's your own business.
Right.
So we go out and we just smoking a joint on the PCH,
Right.
watching the coast, and we're talking about, this kid came from money. This kid, you could tell he had money. I was like, and he was cool as hell. And we're smoking, and he was like, let's just start a smoke shop. And I kept hearing this Venice Beach. He's like, let's start a smoke shop in Venice Beach. And I was like, yeah. And I remember he wanted to call it Midnight Tokers. I'm like, that's a silly name, man. That's a song from the 70s. Midnight Toker.
Okay.
I'm a joker. I'm a smoker.
I check it out.
I'm
Never
like,
heard it.
yeah, exactly. My point exactly. I'm like, if you ain't kicking it in the 70s, fucking listen to Pink Floyd and shit, you don't know about it's not even Pink Floyd.
I was gonna say, if it was Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd's the
I'll
shit,
look
but
for
no,
it, yeah.
I don't even know the name.
Right.
I was like, that's a dumb name. I was like, let's call it Smoking Heaven. Smoking Heaven. I'm like, that's what we're gonna do. And he's like, okay. I got called from my I was supposed to be out probation, but I got called from Oregon to come back. They said I had to come back.
You're still on probation.
I completed my probation.
Okay.
They said I could leave. Right. But they said, we need you to come back. And so I'm sitting here just starting, like a weekend, just starting my new life. I had I had an apartment. It was me, white dude, right? A black dude, Karar, and Anthony, Mexican dude, white, black, in the apartment, right? Just starting the shit up.
Smoke shop.
No. Apartment. We had an apartment.
Okay.
In this multimedia business together. Just us, like a week. And they call me as soon as I'm starting my Cali dreams. They're like, you got to come back to Oregon to check in for some shit. We got to talk to the judge, some bullshit, after they gave me clearance, right? This dude from Washington had to go back. So we're smoking. We're like, okay, I'm going to go back to Oregon. You're going to go back to Washington. We're going to come back and we're going to start Smoking Heaven. We're going to start a smoke shop. And I knew the kid had money and it was like, you know, a good opportunity to,
right.
And he, like, we clicked up. We were cool. So I had to go back to Oregon. Okay, this story. Okay. So, do you have any questions before?
No, go ahead. I want to hear the story. I mean, if it's a good story, we want to hear it.
Yeah, no, it's good. Okay, so I had to go back, and they told me I had to talk to a judge. It was on like a Thursday.
All right.
Right? I go back. I tell him, look, I'm coming back. I had no thought in my mind to leave. I'm like, I'm coming back. Okay, I'll be here back in like a day or two because I was just gonna come right back.
That's what you're telling your friend. You were smoking a joint with him.
And the manager, the multimedia.
Right.
I'm coming back.
Right.
Right. And my roommates.
Right.
Everybody. Right. I was like, I'm coming right back. Like I said, I'm an honest dude. I'm just telling them straight up. I'm coming right back. Got to go to Oregon. They thinking like, okay, because people in these pyramid things, people drop off like flies.
Okay.
Like, so anyway, in their back of their head, they're like, okay,
hot
whatever.
Rate.
I go. They tell me, oh, the judge isn't in. we can't see you yet. Tomorrow, Friday, or something. And they're like, oh, we don't work on the weekends. We're gonna see you Monday, right? So Thursday became like, and it became like I was lying, like they thought I wasn't coming back.
Right.
So then come to find out, I'm waiting. Mind you, all I want to do is start my California dreams and rise and own businesses and start this smoke shop with this cool ass dude. Like my life was like, oh shit, about to like pop off. And then, oh, you got to come back to fucking Oregon a week after you leave.
Right.
Okay. Then I find out that the roommates done kicked me out. They already finding someone to replace me.
Because they don't believe you're coming back.
They don't believe I'm coming back. The manager said he's fired. The manager told my roommate he's fired. He done. He quit.
Right.
Or no, he fired because they don't like to feel like people are quitting. They're like, it's almost kind of a cult experience in some of these, and they're like, yeah, we got rid of them.
Right.
So of course the roommates try to fill my spot. They got to pay. They want to survive too.
Right.
You know, but they didn't even tell me. They didn't even have the heart to call me. Be like, are you coming back? Oh, we got to find a replace. Not even a phone call. I find out later, okay, that I was fired and kicked out. So back's against the wall. I begged, I groveled up. I'm like, oh, I'll come back on, because I was in communications and there's a lower division called clearance where you just sell a bunch of nonsense on the street. It's like, I'll do clearance, I'll do whatever, I'll come, just let me come back. He's like, all right, we'll just come back. So I end up coming back. I finally go to the court and they tell me you have to piss in a cup. I didn't see no judge. They want me to come back, take a piss in a cup, and they're like, okay, you can leave. So they basically almost ruined my whole thing and got me fired and kicked out my whole startup of my whole adult life to go piss in this cup for them. And they wouldn't even tell me so I piss and I leave. I go back, I go on clearance, I kill it like I murdered everybody that day. I sold so much. I was like the #1 seller for that day on clearance. And the homie from Washington, he didn't come back.
Okay.
I left Oregon with $500 to my name after food, gas, hotel that night, everything. I had a choice the next day. Do I go work for these snakes who fired me behind my back, didn't tell me, kicked me out, start brand new from not even office supplies now. Now I'm selling kitchen knives and dolls in the street when you're trying to go to the 99-cent store. I'm walking up and you're like, yo, buy this fucking Spider-Man doll. It's complete nonsense. So I had the choice to start from the complete grovel back with these motherfuckers that did me like that, or just go out on my own. I had $200 to my name after the hotel. And so I said, you know, it's so this is kind of the moral of the story for people is like,
right.
You know, do you like, you do what doesn't feel right, well, you know, it doesn't sit right in your heart, or do you go for it? Like sometimes this is more risky. It doesn't always, I'm not here to say it always works, you know, but it comes to that point of like, take a chance, you know, go where your heart tells you to go and just bet on yourself, you know, just so instead of groveling and starting from the bottom of this pyramid, I just went out by myself, did it in myself.
That's dope.
Because a little backstory, we found a connection of some glass pipes, like weed pipes and stuff. So I invested $200, my only $200 in the glass pipes. And then I just hit the street selling glass pipes.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Some people would say that's Siclogic.
Yes, exactly. My man, you can pay attention.
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt, because I like the Siclogic. You
Yeah.
know, some people say I got a Siclogic. I just never called it that, but now I know what it is.
Yeah.
I know where my logic comes from. It's sick.
Absolutely.
But that's what makes it so dope. Is that why people call you baby Elon Musk?
It's potent. Again, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I named myself that. Nobody called me that, so I hope that they start to. But
right.
And you know, people are gonna probably throw some shade for that term or whatever. But yeah, I'm kind of like
I
don't care about that because I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I call it, you know, maybe one day people will call me baby Elon Musk, or maybe one day I'll be right up there with Elon Musk. Because the reason I say that is because I have logged 30 different ideas. Mind you, I came up with Smoke in Heaven from the ground up, $200, ended up becoming semi-successful. I've come up with a lot of businesses over the years, like Siclogic. Like, if you look up these terms, these are original terms, trademark terms, etc. You know, like I came up with them. But point being, I have over 30 ideas for businesses which stand to be multi-million-dollar, if not billion-dollar businesses, most of them with a philanthropic and revolutionary nature, revolutionary in their field. So the only person, I'm sure there's a lot of influential, powerful people out there, but the only person that I can think of that is on that level of philanthropy in business in so many different sectors is the motherfucking Elon Musk. Like this dude's owning it in all these different categories and almost to a revolutionary aspect. So that's why I say that.
Right. No, that's dope. I respect it. So the pipe business, that was your first business that you started?
That was my first business. Yeah.
Did you start it in Venice?
I started on Ventura Boulevard, Ventura and Van Nuys.
Okay.
There's that Crave, that place where the Crave,
Yeah, I know
right
Crave.
there. And there used to be, I think it was called the Basement or something. There was a hip hop shop right there back when there was a lot of hip hop shops. And I would walk down the boardwalk. I used my sales expertise, but I twisted it with the Siclogic with the pipes in a different field. If you were walking down the street and you look like a smoker, I look you dead in the eyes and I say, "You want to see the lowest price glass pipes you ever seen in your fucking life?" Like with the little attitude like that.
Right.
And then people like stop in their tracks and be like, yeah, sure, why not?
That's
And
what
I just
say. Yeah,
I had a
sure.
little computer bag,
That's dope.
you know, and they're like, "I'm not doing anything. Fuck it." I open a computer bag full of pipes and little bubblers and shit. And then I'd be like, you know, in the store, you're gonna pay 40 for this. I'll give it to you for 25 or 2 for 35. Like I'll just bust it out and just do a sale right on the sidewalk.
Right.
So I flipped my 200. I turned it into 350. I went and I got the cheapest crackhead hotels you could find. I was, you know, just getting fast food, cracked out hotels. I'll turn my 350. I'll go, and the next day I had 290. I'll go invest at 290, and I turn that into 400, and then I go or 420, and then I go and get a crazy hotel. Go back with a 350, turn that into 500, and just like flipping it on the street. And then I went to the Venice.
Oh, okay. You started on the street, built up your
Ventura
cheddar.
Boulevard. But then I had in my head, everybody's talking about Venice Boardwalk. So eventually I was like, you know, this is kind of, I was going to people in line because someone said, "Oh, there's a lot of people that smoke at In-N-Out." Oh, yo, I started at In-N-Out.
Wow.
I started at In-N-Out, bro. I would go.
Yo, we didn't fix this. This is all real. This is natural.
I just now put two
I just
together.
met him. It's real. It's
Yeah.
not rehearsed.
There's a connection here. I would go to people waiting in line because you know how packed In-N-Out. And anybody who's
Right.
been to Cali, you know about In-N-Out, like how the lines get.
No
So
doubt.
I would run up to the little kids when they were in the car waiting for their burgers, and I would go sell them some pipes real shit.
Make it happen.
And then they tell you can't do that. And then I'll go in the back where the tables are, and they kick me out. And everywhere is just like. So eventually I went to Venice Boardwalk and started
Doing your thing now.
selling.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So from the pipes, what type of other businesses did you start? What did that lead to?
Okay, so I took that. I eventually had, so within about a month or so, I had a retail business.
Retail.
I started with a small showcase. There's so many stories, man. They had put me. I was selling on the street on the Venice Boardwalk,
Still the pipe.
killing it. The stores. They did a sting operation. The stores are going crazy. They did a sting operation on me. Anyway, I had a showcase, 2 showcases. Within about a year and a half, I was bankrolling. I was bringing home cash every single day. I was killing it with the pipes. And then I started, I went half on half and half with the 909 hip hop clothing store. So back in the early 2000s, we were the first hip hop clothing in Venice Beach on the boardwalk. So I got this from this Lebanese dude. We teamed up. And we were killing. He showed me where we can get fake throwbacks. Remember when throwbacks was a thing? Like
Yeah, no doubt.
We were selling throwback, real ones, fake ones, and like banking off that. That building burnt down where my first shop was. The hip hop shop, me and him, he had an ego. We butted heads. That split up. So again, it's like rises and falls in life.
Right.
You know? And this is where you got to keep your head together. And you make that. You got to make that decision, like, do I give up or do I keep going? Or, you know, do I go down a path where it doesn't feel right? So each time that my back was against the wall, I think more of the story here is that, like, I chose to persevere. I didn't give up when it felt like, man, it's like, how are you going to come back from this? Your building burnt down with no insurance.
I was going to ask you if you got money on the insurance, but I
no
guess not.
insurance,
You didn't have
building
it.
burnt down. Anybody you know about Brooks on the Venice Boardwalk, where House of Ink used to be?
I know House of Ink. Okay.
House of Ink, and then that burnt down. They rebuilt it years later, and House of Ink is probably still there in a minute. But the hip hop dude, me and him, but that broke up. He even made it so I couldn't get the spot, the location, because I was gonna go get it for myself. And he told, I think it was a Lebanese or Middle Eastern dude that owned the whole building,
Okay.
and was leasing all the spots, and he told him, oh, don't rent to him. So he pretty much X'd me out from that. So I lost both my locations.
Wow.
And it was just like back against the wall. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, do you give up? Do you go look for work? What, you know? And I stayed the course, and I asked a bunch of other people if I could share their store, because I only had half the store, mind you.
Okay.
I was renting from these people paying way too much money. That's a whole different story on its own.
Gotcha.
They were like using me because I was this young kid that was just fucking flipping.
Right.
But
so they charge you and basically you help pay the whole lease, right?
They were taxing me, and I was killing the game, everything. But then I went and got another shop. So to answer your question, I had the hip hop shop. Yes, that was short lived. Then eventually I had another shop that I started, another shop, and then I was like, man, my love is the music. So then that's when, at this point, I had 2 shops on the Venice Boardwalk. I had a penthouse apartment on top of that with a spiraling staircase to a loft. We built out that loft to be a studio. So that was the beginning of Siclogic Records. We started recording and making tracks. And so, because it was all about the music.
Gotcha.
The pipes is nice, the art is great. I'm into the smoke culture. I support, cannabis and weed and all that. But like the whole thing was the music. It was to be an artist, and I was also want to be a writer my whole life. So, I write all my own lyrics and everything like that too. But so we started the record label, and to speed the story up, I started the label, started my own, artistry as Shooz, Siclogic Records, and then which also became clothing line. And then later I moved out of Venice, and I still kept an arm of the smoke shop, but I got more into the studio game. And that's where I started renting space and recording other artists and collaborating with a lot of different people. And
You own a studio.
that's where I met GP.
Okay.
That's where I met,
You own you have a studio still?
Shouts out to GP once again for putting this all
Because
together.
GP is dope. GP is a dope artist
He's
also.
the man. We moved into this studio where there's 25 studios in one building, one big building in Burbank.
Okay.
Where they wasn't having no hip hop. Like, if you remember, I don't know if you remember GP, like when we got there was all these, it was a diverse crowd, right? That they're not used to in Burbank.
Right.
And they had cops rolling up to the parking lot. Like they were looking at checking license plates just out of nowhere.
They were resistant to it, so
they were like, who are all these motherfuckers coming out in this building all the time? Like, they were not ready for it. It was on Hollywood Boulevard, right by Porto's. It's now a Target. So it's big enough to be a Target. It's like a mini Target. Me and GP had a studio there. There was a bunch of different heads. Everybody had these different, there was rappers, there was producers and singers and vocal coaches.
It's too much for them.
It was a lot. It was a lot for them. I remember at one point they were like, they rolled up on people outside just smoking a cigarette or smoking a bowl or whatever. I don't know. They rolled up on people like, what are you guys doing here anyway? They're like, checking like, what's your name, and getting like illegally like harassing people.
Right.
And eventually there's a really dude that just kind of spoke his mind. It's one way to put it. Very blunt dude. And he was like, he's like, you know what? There's a bunch of studios here. We're working on our art. We're doing our thing, and y'all just gonna have to get used to it.
That's what's up.
After weeks of the police like casing the whole joint, I feel like at that point they kind of stopped coming every day.
That's dope. You said a word, and it took a word out of my mouth. It was perseverance. It sounds like you got a lot of perseverance. Sounds like, that's one of the lessons, perseverance, resiliency. You seem like, I guess maybe just some of the things that you went through in life, help you just develop that stick-to-itness, that matter-of-fact personality. Like you said, like you had the confidence to know, like, listen, this has got to work. People are walking up. Like when you gave the story and you said you would just walk up to people like, yo, I got a dope pipe and, blah, 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 blah. And if you would have walked up to me and said something like that and I was a smoker, I would have said, yeah, I'll check it out. So that's dope. You had a studio, or you still have a studio, or what is the deal with that?
So I got still have Siclogic Records. You got the .com. You got Siclogic.com, Siclogicrecords.com. You got all the Instagrams, right? Most of my Instagram is, or most of my stuff social is on Shooz, which is G space SHOOZ.
Right.
Or Shooz on everything.
So the IG is dope.
I got my studio. It's the best sound I've ever had of years. If you look at like my discography, you'll see from the beginning to like the quality just keeps raising, the videos keep raising, and I have my best music yet by far tucked away. So I'm plotting and planning my new release. My newest music video is insane. Like it's on a whole different level than my past stuff. I put out some really cool stuff, and I have a lot more really, really cool stuff coming. I still have the studio. We have the record, the clothing line, Siclogic Clothing. And the book's coming out, and then I also have a new surprise this year, which is it's different than anything I've ever done, but we did it in the studio, so that'll be fun for like family and everybody involved. It's kind of a universal new thing that I have coming out.
Dope. Are you gonna self-publish the book?
Self-publish.
Okay.
Just in my brief research, it's very similar to like music. Self-publishing, doing your music independent, you keep 100% of the profit,
right?
And it's creative control. With Siclogic, if you look into Siclogic, you'll see like I'm an independent thinker. I'm not going with anybody's trend or what. So it's going to be very hard for me, for instance, to change. I can't change one word in that book. It took me 8 years to produce that book.
Nice.
And I'm not ready to change one word or anything for anyone. So yeah, self-published, self-controlled. Absolutely.
Okay, so I didn't realize that. So sometimes if you get down with a publishing company or something, I guess it's just like music. They may want to change the content of the book or try and get you to change it a little bit.
Creative control, absolutely. They're gonna try to make it. And Here's the thing, just like it's a lot of parallels to music.
Okay.
Because you come in music and you haven't like earned that big status name, they got all the leverage. They're gonna own that ass. Nowadays, they're gonna get that 360 off you. They're gonna get, they're gonna own you. They're gonna tell you what to do, and your contract's not. Simple way to put it, your contract's not gonna be good.
Right.
If you get it, you can pursue it for years if you get it.
Right.
Same thing with the writing. If you get a publishing deal, they're gonna own that ass.
Right.
And
do you feel a lot of people make that mistake because they might be too hungry, rather than just having that perseverance and doing it themselves?
Well, here's the thing. You could look at different artists. I don't know all the names, but like if you look people that build up their own stock and I'm doing it. Now the label comes to you or the publishing company comes to you like, I want a piece of that pie.
Right.
See what XY is doing over here?
Right.
We want a piece of that. Now you have leverage.
Right.
Instead of coming to the label like, please sign me, please, I'll take any deal. Now you own this. And like, if you want a piece of my pie, you better come with it.
You operate from a position of strength then.
It's kind of the same thing as an author.
That's dope. That's good teaching. All right, well, listen, we just got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Please take the opportunity to say something of, some words of encouragement or just give us some more of the game that you've been given. Let people know what's coming out, even though you said it. Let them know when it's dropping again. And maybe you have an idea when you're going to drop Siclogic music. And absolutely let people know where they can find you again. Social media, tell them where they can find you.
Absolutely. So yeah, for me, I didn't do a lot of prison time. I didn't do any prison time like a lot of folks on this podcast. But what I do want
But it's mental prisons too. And you told me about some mental prisons that you probably was freed from.
Oh yeah, like put it this way. Let me take that, and if you aren't controlling your destiny, somebody else is. Simple as that. You are a creator. We're all creators. Everybody in this universe is creator. If you have ever created a thought, you're a creator. If you created a child, you're a creator. If you ever drew anything, if you wrote a word, you're a creator. If you had a thought, if you spoke words, you created those. You created those thoughts. You spoke those words. But mind you, there's a lot of what's the word? There's a lot of power and there's a lot of megalomania. A lot of people that want to control those thoughts and they don't want you to create. Okay, so this is kind of like how, if you break it down, you have the ability to create. Nobody could take that from you. But some people want ownership of your thoughts, of your words and your actions, because your thoughts become words, become actions. So if you keep that creative control, then you can actually be a soul. You can actually be an individual. You can actually make your imprint in this world, make a legacy. You can do something in this world. But if you're just owned and just go by the programming, it's not always positive, and it's not always beneficial for you and your family and the people that you love. So, you know, if anything, a couple takeaways is, you know, be your own person. Don't be afraid to think. And when it comes down to the wire of like, am I going to live in love or am I going to live in fear? I would say go for love every time. And it's not always going to be the easy path. I'm not here to tell you it's all peaches and cream. But if you go for love, you're going to have a more fruitful life. You're going to have a more fruitful soul. If you believe in that kind of thing, you're going to spread more positivity in the world. And, you know, that's at the heart of what I do. You know, our art is, like I said, it's extreme. You look into my art, some of it is over here. It's over here. It's fun. It's very diverse. It's very holistic. And it's very, you know, we have our own thing going. Siclogic, like I said, independent thought. That's why we can't be controlled.
Dope.
And neither should you.
Dope. All right. Y'all heard it from the man himself. G Shooz, he is dope. He is a creator. He is an author. He is an owner. And he told you, if you want to be free from any mental prisons that you may have been in, we're not only talking about physical prisons, it's mental prisons may be worth. And like he told you, you have to keep control of your own destiny. You do that by having the confidence and keeping ownership of your creativity. Because when you create and you keep the control of that, you keep the control of your content. That is the only way that you will ever truly be freed. And that's what this is about. It's about in and out. Y'all already know because you keep tuning in and we appreciate it. Don't stop tuning in. You heard it from him. This man has come from far. He is a creative genius. He's humble. He come from humble beginnings, but he's confident. He might not want to say it, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to brag for him. I call him the baby Elon Musk because he's a master entrepreneur. He has many entrepreneurs, and y'all got to keep checking us out so y'all can hear from geniuses like this young brother right here. It's INNOUTWW. That's right. That's where you find us. You know you can check for us on wherever you get your podcast, on all forms of social media. In and out, WW, INNOUTWW. We appreciate you for coming in, and now we're out.